Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be discussing about the global cloud infrastructure, but before that, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell as well. So cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet. Rather than owning a computing infrastructure or data centers, companies can rent and get access to anything from applications to storage space from a cloud service provider. To provide cloud services all over the globe, the service provider's global availability is a really important factor. For an example, when you consider AWS, which is Amazon's Web Services, which is a global public cloud provider, it has a global network of infrastructure to run and manage its many growing cloud services that support customers around the world. Now let's discuss about the components of a global cloud infrastructure. The main components include data centers, availability zones, and regions. A data center houses servers, data storage for an organization. This includes the hardware itself, the space in which it's housed, power systems, backup systems, environmental controls, and all the other systems that are needed to keep those servers running. A data center can be a single server or a complex one with hundreds of servers on racks. The role of a data center in cloud computing is to provide resources needed to store and manage data. It will provide the necessary infrastructure for running applications. This includes housing and powering the physical infrastructure, as well as managing and securing data. By using data centers as part of a cloud computing strategy, businesses can improve their performance, scalability, and security. Data centers are an important part of cloud computing because they provide the storage and processing power that is needed for businesses to run their applications. Now let's talk about availability zones. So availability zones are made of many physical data centers. This is where the actual compute, storage, network, and database resources are hosted that we as consumers provision within our virtual private clouds. A common misconception is that a single availability zone is equal to a single data center. This is not the case. In fact, it's likely that multiple data centers located close together form a single availability zone. Each availability zone will always have at least one other availability zone that is geographically located within the same area, usually a city, linked by highly resilient and very low latency private fiber optic connections. However, each availability zone will be isolated from the other using separate power and network connectivity, which will minimize both zones collapsing at the same time. Now let's talk about the last component, which is regions. So the localized geographical grouping of multiple availability zones, which would include multiple data centers, is defined as a region. Multiple availability zones within a region allows you to create highly available and resilient applications and services. As we know, a region is a collection of availability zones that are geographically located close to one another. This is generally integrated by availability zones within the same city. Some of the huge cloud service providers like AWS or Google Cloud have deployed them across the globe to allow its worldwide customer base to take advantage of low latency connections. Every region will act independently of the other, and each will contain at least two availability zones. For an example, if an organization based in London was serving customers throughout Europe, there would be no logical sense to deploy services in the Sydney region simply due to the latency response time for its customers. Instead, the company would select the region most appropriate for them and their customer base, which could be London region or Ireland region. Having a global region also allows for compliance with regulations, laws, and governance relating to data storage. For an example, you may be required to keep all data within a specific location, such as Europe. Having multiple regions within this location allows an organization to meet this requirement. The number of regions is increasing year after year as cloud service providers work to keep up with the demand for cloud computing services. Finally, as a summary, we can say that cloud computing services are operated from giant data centers around the world. Commonly, cloud providers divide this up by regions, availability zones, and data centers. Each region is separated. Each region is a separate geographic area which is further subdivided into availability zones, and availability zones is composed of one or more data centers that are far enough apart that in theory a single disaster won't take both offline, but close enough together for business continuity applications that require rapid failover. That brings us to the end of the video on global cloud infrastructure. If you gained something useful, make sure to share this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that like button as well.